back to CH4K, and this is me talking about Star Wars Total War. The potential of the Star Wars Total War coming out. Also, basically the three potential Star Wars Total Wars that are coming out due to like a few leaks that have been coming up all over the internet. This is like the main article from DualShockers. I'll put it in the description if I forget to do it. Don't worry, I'm sure someone will tell me in the comment section. So I'll definitely remember. But before I forget, I just bumped the table. Alright. Before I forget, let's talk a little bit about my history with. No, I wouldn't say talk about my history with Star Wars. Let's talk a little bit about my opinion on Star Wars. I would like to say I am a typical Star Wars fan, and that I enjoyed the original trilogy. Even Return of the Jedi. Many people will make fun of that movie, but I consider that one of the best movies created during that era. It is the perfect centerpiece. Oh, not the centerpiece. The perfect ending to the trilogy of the Skywalker story. Like the perfect ending for the entire franchise. If you ask me, Return of the Jedi was the perfect ending to it. Like you didn't need any more movies after that. You were good. Didn't need no TV shows. Don't need nothing else. You're good. The prequels, I respect George for taking a risk on them. I do. I really do. Some of them just didn't land right. I can understand why he was against doing them for so long because it's harder to do a follow-up to something like Star Wars. It's really hard to do a follow-up. Like, he tried his best, but honestly, it fell flat a little bit here and there. Revenge of the Sith, I would say, is almost on par with the rest of the original trilogy. But, that's just my opinion. And the Disney trilogy, sequel trilogy, yeah. I don't like to be negative on this channel, so I won't say anything about it. Let's move right along. Alright. I wish you guys could see me, because I'm laughing right now when I did that. But yeah, I'm just going to say one thing that's kind of negative. Star Wars isn't in a really great place right now, but I think a game could bring the fan base back to the game, but I don't think it will revitalize the franchise. I think you need like a series of good movies, maybe a series of good games to go along with it, some TV shows to help it along. Like, it's in a really bad spot right now. But the game could be a separate thing, like Jedi Survivor was a separate thing. People still enjoyed it, but it still has naysayers, and I 100% understand it. I 100% understand it. But yeah, so we featured Star Wars Empire War on this channel already. I do see Star Wars Total War working rather easily. You might have to make a few changes to the formula, but that's fine. That's not a big deal. I remember there was like a Star Wars Total War mod for Rome or something like that, or Medieval too. I'm not sure. You'll have to look it up. That's right, you guys are going to look it up. I'm not going to look that up. That's going to take hours. And let's be honest, I'm not being paid. I don't. So this is all me doing this stuff for free. So just be glad I gave you the information. Get here. I'm messing around. Thank you for stopping by. I am always happy to have you guys. I would love to do some more research on it, but I just, like I said, I'm kind of running a little bit low on time, but I will suggest it. It might be on ModDB or maybe on Steam Workshop. I don't think it's in Steam Workshop, because that's got to be a complete overhaul mod. Like, that's got to be a huge thing. Yeah. But if you know what about it, you know what? Put it in the comment section. If you can. But yeah, the Star Wars mod would be useful. Let's just go down a little bit. You guys can read this a little bit. I'm not going to read it for you. I'm just going to just show it a little bit. You guys can read it. Either here as I scroll down, or at your own leisure. I'll have it in the description for you. I keep saying it, so I'll remember. But the most important thing to me is that you understand that this is a rumor at the moment, and rumors from a gaming website from like a few years were spotty at best. Nowadays, I would consider them like it might be true, it might be false, but it's probably going to be a big shoulder shrug from everyone involved. Like, I don't think Creative Assembly will mention it right away. Like, they'll at least take a year or so to just announce it, because they need at least a year's worth of work to work on it. Okay, this is future me. I'm recording this after the video. I did this video because I just didn't feel like I gave it a clear enough response to the idea that there is a good chance this game will not be produced. This is a good chance this game will not be created. There's a good chance this game is not even being worked on at the moment. I just want to make that very, very, very clear for anyone who has their hopes up. Do not get your hopes up. This is just a rumor. I repeat, this is just a rumor. And that goes for the other games that are mentioned here. They are just rumors. For the moment, until we get an official statement, they are just a rumor. I just want to make that super clear for everyone to know. Okay, on with the rest of the video. So yeah, it's a maybe, if not a, we'll see in like a few months, maybe in a year, maybe 2 years. I wouldn't hold my breath, because again, they're working on it. They're talking about it. They're dealing with it in many ways. I don't think they're fully aware of what their finally product's going to be in like a few months, starting now, if they actually are working on it, because a lot of things change in production. I learned that from observing what happened to No Man's Sky, the story of No Man's Sky, and how it was changing even up to the day they released it. Like, they were a small team and they didn't have the time they needed to make a really good game, and they just sort of like were forced to push out a quick game, and they got basically embarrassed by it. But after they picked it up and they rebuilt their reputation, rebuilt the game, and now it's like something smooth. So I'm curious, but I'm curious to see what Total War Star Wars would look like. But I would do think that they would have to change the engine from, I don't know if the engine name is from what it is now, but I do remember that it's not as good as the older Warscape engine. Like, yeah, it's called the Warscape 2, I think. Yeah, and the Warscape 2 engine, I think, is on its last legs with Warhammer, because I don't know if it can do something like Star Wars. I think the Warscape Engine 2 could probably handle Star Wars, but honestly, I think you guys should probably get something else. You're push the limits of it. I said push the limits multiple times. Yeah, multiple times, man. Multiple times. One more time. You push the limits up now. That's enough. That's enough. Let's move on to the other one, World War I. Now, this will make historical fans so happy. They've been chomping at the bit. Please give us a new historical game that's good. They got Pharaoh, and they got Three Kingdoms. I think that's more of a fantasy and a combination. And Troy they were trying to do both in it, and it's just like, dude, just pick one or the other. Pick a lane. Just pick a lane. Your life will be easier. Pharaoh, I'm glad Pharaoh exists, because CA needed to be humbled a little bit going forward. So maybe they'll learn a lesson a little bit longer this time, because they have done stuff like this in the past, like Rome 2. You guys remember that launch? That was horrible. For anyone who remembers that launch, I'm so sorry. For anyone who bought the game at launch, I am super sorry. You had a lot of hopes for that, and it just blew up in your face. And the other thing was Thrones of Britannia. I haven't played Thrones of Britannia, but I do own it. I think I might try to do a playthrough of it at some point, but I don't know, man. When I started playing it, I wasn't grabbed by it. You know what I mean? Like, when a Total War grabs you, it grabs you. It doesn't let go. Like Rome 1, it grabbed me for years. I still play it on occasion. But yeah, enough down. World War One. They're gonna have to do a lot with trench warfare. I mean, the Great War game did us show us like what it would look like. I'm curious to see how Total War will shift that with generals and various other things because the world wars were not conventional warfare. They were modern warfare. Well, actually, current modern warfare would be truly horrifying if it were truly unleashed. But yeah, you're gonna have to design tanks. You're gonna have to design movement. You're gonna have to design people getting into buildings and trench warfare and yeah, I'm curious in like rushing for no man's land through the trenches to get to just to get victory by an inch, like inches. That was basically all of World War One and Two, I believe, was victory by inches. It was just a slog, a painful slog. I don't know how they're gonna change what they're gonna do for that in Total War. Maybe it'll change it. Maybe it'll make a little bit of change shifts in it to make it more interesting. But yeah, hopefully they'll do that. Hopefully they'll do it. Oh yeah, you know what? We'll talk about that in another video. For those of you who don't know, if you're an XCOM fan and you're on this channel, yeah, I'll talk about that in another video. But yeah, that's we're focusing on Total War right now. So let's look on to the last bit. I sound so sad when let's look at this last bit. All right, so last bit, Total War, 40K, Warhammer 40K. That is to me the most likely one of the three that you mentioned to occur in the future. It's coming because they already got a lot of the models from the fantasy universe that can transplant over into the 40K universe. So it's not that hard to imagine them shifting it that direction. Do I have a bad do I have a bad feeling like I did with Star Wars? Not really. Star Wars. I think honestly, I think 40K will probably do better for Total War than Star Wars would do. Star Wars has a lot of baggage at the moment, and I don't know if Total War can fight it. Like it would have to be a really good game to bring in the fans. Yeah, but 40K, I think they can just. They've already got half of the ingredients already. And if they play the cards right, they can probably make that work. Like, yeah, but the big issue is space battles. Now, I was kind of against the fantasies, Warhammer Fantasies solution to naval battles in Total War was to remove them completely. I'm kind of against that. They should have just kept the space. They should have kept the naval ships. I know it's a lot of work, but it's worth it because it's a huge part of getting the ships from A to B. But that being said, I think the solution was as good as they could probably get it at the time. However, with space battles, that's not going to do. For either Star Wars or 40K or both, you can't just skip over the space battles. The space battles are huge. They're the number one part of a lot of the gameplay, especially early on. So you can, especially early on. You know what? In late game too, even all the way to the late game, I found like massive space battles would just sign the entire empire. Like it would be a huge mistake. It would be a huge mistake. Do you know how many games come out? You know how many games that have space battles in it right now? They're coming out with space battles, and you're telling me they can't do space battles with their engine? Like, They don't even have to do fully 3D ones. Like Homeworld is a freak of nature because they're like the only ones who could do 3D space battles. But you can get away with just a flat plane. Uh, Battlefront Gothic is an example. Another example is Star Wars Empire War. All of them had flat planes. All of them got away with doing essentially what naval battles in space. That's basically what they kind of got away with. But in Star Wars Empire War, you can see like the craziness. You can see the wrecks floating in the space after they get blown up by various amounts of fire. It's a good idea to have space battles. I don't agree at all with any idea of them taking space battles out. Like the ground battles would be okay by themselves, but you gotta have the space battles. Like I can't stress this enough. I mean, I played Empire War and I like the space battle. I like the ground battles, but the space battle is where it was at. The space battles were fun. They were quick. It was kind of like the reverse of Total War, Warhammer, and all the other like Total War games where the naval battles were like sort of boring and predictable. But dude, they just need it. Well, sieges won't be a problem anymore, I guess. But we could have planetary sieges. That'd actually be quite interesting. Like heavily fortified worlds, you're gonna have to do like a full scale siege. Just drop like multiple bombs or maybe something like that, and have a constant supply of troops dropping in. Like it could be an interesting situation. Like 40K could really make something truly impressive. Like I'm not that familiar with their universe, so you're gonna have to check out Lore Channel, like the Lore Master of Sotek and the Book of Grudges. And like there should be Milk and Cookies. Total War also knows a little bit. You might be able to go to Major Kill. He might know some stuff too. Although he's focusing more on he's focused on 40K, so he should have like a lot of lore for you to digest over there. But overall, I do think out of all of them, 40K is the best. 40K will probably have the best chance of being really good. So yeah, I could see that working much easier because they already have the working relationship and the models down pat already. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you could hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, both would be appreciated. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.